Whether it's cars, comics, video games, or violins, there's a little geek in all of us. It's time to give your geek a voice. It's time for Geek Therapy. Here's your host, Johnny Hamburger.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening to you, whenever you're listening to this particular radio show and or podcast. I don't know why I said and or, because if you're listening to this live at 12:06 a.m. Sunday morning and listening to a podcast at the same time, that would be weird. That's redundant. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. I appreciate you geeking out so hardcore on Geek Therapy Radio that you have to listen to two sources at once. That's pretty neat. Yeah, so I'll touch on the social media stuff. I'll spit all that out there. I got my Facebook going, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, and over the past few weeks, I've been getting lots of new likes and lots of new visits, and I appreciate that. So Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. It's also Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. So Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. The best way to interact with me, though, is on Facebook. Just go to the wall, the Geek Therapy Radio wall, and say, "Yo, man, I am super into trains. When you gonna talk about trains? Here's what I like about trains." And then tell me what you like about trains. Model trains, big trains. I know that some people are so into trains that they can... They hear the different, they know what model of engine it is just by the sound it makes. And some of you might be thinking, that's crazy. How do people understand how to have such good ears that they can tell a General Electric engine over a, I don't know, Mercedes engine? Does Mercedes make train engines? It does matter. It matters to train people, but they can hear the different models of engines, of diesel engines in the trains just by the sound it makes going by, or the sound it makes in the distance. And you might think, like I said, you might think that's crazy. How do they do that? Well, is it that crazy? Because I can tell different engines, different car engines, just by hearing them in the distance. And you might be thinking to yourself, that's crazy. How is your ear that good? Well, I don't think it really is that good. For instance, I can hear a Volkswagen Beetle engine, an old vintage air-cooled 1600, 1200, 1100, whatever. It makes a very, very distinct sound versus a modern engine, which, to be honest, lots of engines kind of drone together. They all sound similar. And if you don't really care about engines, then of course you're not going to hear the difference. I vividly remember how the VR6 engine in one of my first cars sounded in the 1994 Passat hand-me-down that I had. I thought the engine sounded great. It does sound great. 2.8 liter V6 is widely regarded as one of the best engine noises around, along with the 1.8 liter four-cylinder sound of certain cars. That's a good motor sound. V8s have their own signature burble, and even with V8s, depending on what manufacturer and what the firing order is, they can have completely different sounds. My daily driver has a V8 in there, and it's an odd timing, or I guess it's a normal timing for a small block V8, and it has a nice burble to it. You sit in the car and it's idling, and the car kind of, is shaking around a little bit. That's because of the odd firing order of the 8 cylinders. I don't know. I don't have it memorized off the top of my head if it's like cylinder 8, cylinder 2, cylinder 4, cylinder 3, cylinder whatever it is, whatever the odd timing of the firing order of the cylinders, that plays a lot into how the engine sounds and how smooth the engine is. I think the new Mustangs, like the GT 350 or 350 GT, forgive me, it has such a firing order that the engine is a lot more smooth. and therefore can rev up to what is the red line for the 350 GT? I think it's like 8,000, 7,000, which in a V8, that's insane RPMs for a red line. That's crazy. But it has to do with the firing order, how smooth it is. So, yeah, back to the trains. And of course, I got on this sidetrack of trains because that's how we geek out. That's how the geek's mind works. There's guys and gals who can hear the different engine sounds and be able to call the General Electric model, whatever, blah, 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 from 5 miles away. That's wonderful. Same way people can tell what bird calls. They know what a cardinal sounds like as opposed to a blue jay, as opposed to a dove. The human ear is amazing at picking out these discrepancies in sound. Let me switch gears a little bit to talk about cars and trains. Let me switch gears a little bit. Something it's been sticking with me since I came into work today, because to be frank, it pisses me off. And I hope I don't lose any listeners over this. And if this is the type of thing that makes you think, I can't listen to this guy anymore, then goodbye. I'll just be honest with you. I'll be real honest with you. If you don't like what I'm about to say, I don't need you listening. I will still sleep soundly. And before you get all riled up and think I'm about to say something controversial, it's not really controversial. It has to do with animal cruelty. So if you're cruel to animals, stop listening. And I'm not a huge animal advocate. I'm not marching around with picket signs and against fur and meat or anything like that. But on the basic level, it's just sickening and subhuman how some people treat animals. So what I'm getting at is when I was driving to work today, there was a pickup truck with a dog in the bed of the pickup truck. And the pickup truck is going down the highway, the freeway, 75 miles an hour, which sounds quick. But in Houston, where the show is located, 75 is pretty average, I would say, depending on time of the day. Anyways, so I wasn't going that fast, but I was in the passing lane. And I sped up a little bit to see this guy in his truck to verify what I was seeing. And it was this dog, German Shepherd, I think it was, in the bed of a truck, unrestrained, no leash or anything. And as if a leash is going to do much, that just means the dog is going to get strangled rather than fall out onto the highway. And that's what I'm getting at. Having a dog in the bed of a pickup truck traveling down the freeway should be a felony. And I know that sounds extreme, and a lot of you are probably rolling your eyes. Oh, Johnny, you're being dramatic. No. Some of those dogs you see splattered on the highway, sorry to be so descriptive, are in the back of hillbillies' pickup trucks. And I'm calling you a hillbilly if you have your dog in the bed of your pickup truck unrestrained. That's ridiculous. Some of the dogs you see killed on the highway aren't just strays that ran out on the highway. Of course, that's part of it. But some of them are the dogs that have bounced out or jumped out of the back of pickup trucks. So if you have a dog in the back of your pickup truck unrestrained, that should be a felony. You should go to jail or pay a hefty fine, starting at $100,000. I'm just going to put a number on it. Starting at $100,000. $100,000 or a year or two of jail time. Easy. Don't put your dogs in the back of your stupid pickup truck. I've had 2 pickup trucks. I have nothing against pickup trucks. Pickup trucks are fun. They're cool. Like I said, I've had 2. I loved them. Don't put your animals unrestricted in the back of your pickup truck. And if that statement pisses you off, stop listening. I don't need you. I don't need that kind of Neanderthal listening to my show. Protect your animals. You're going to go home to your kids and say, sorry, Goldie's dead. She fell out of the back of the pickup truck. That's such an avoidable scenario. I'm going to calm down a little bit. I hope that dog's okay. I hope that person wises up and puts that dog in the bed of their truck or in the cab of their truck. Keep your animals in the cab of your truck. And if you have to have them in the bed of your truck, keep them in a kennel. Something safe that they can't just jump out of. Because like I said, again, some of the dead dogs you see on the highways have fallen out of the back of pickup trucks. Wow, what a first segment. Trains, cars, ears, dogs in the beds of pickup trucks. So that's how we're going to end the first segment. I'm Johnny Hemberger. I care about the safety of animals in avoidable situations like having them in the bed of pickup trucks. Like I said, Johnny Hemberger, go to my Facebook page. Tell me what you think about that. Go flame me if you're some hillbilly who keeps his dog in the bed of his pickup truck. Go tell me how much you hate me on Facebook. I would enjoy it. I welcome it. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook would help if you... I want to be so mean right now. I want to be so mean right now, but I'm not. I'm just going to say, get on your computer, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, and go tell me what you think. We'll be right back. There's more Geek Therapy Radio to come. I honestly don't have a roadmap for this show. This is therapy for me, if you haven't noticed. Therapy for me, hopefully therapy for you. So while I don't know the roadmap of this show, you'll be able to see it in the description of the podcast, I'm sure, once it gets typed up. So we'll be back. More GTR coming up after this 3 or 4 minute break. Don't go anywhere. I'm Johnny Hemberger, your mental curator for this evening. Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. GeekTherapy at iHeartMedia.com. That's the email. I'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hemberger, your mental curator for the evening, as I am prone to say. Before I get on to the meat and potatoes of this segment, I just want to say thank you to all of my listeners and fans for bearing with me in that last segment while I got a little... I'm not even going to call it salty. I'm not going to make fun of it. Got a little passionate, if you will, about that subject of keep putting dogs in the bed of pickup trucks. But I want to thank you guys and gals and listeners and fans, because I think I have this feeling that you are going to allow me and continue to allow me to emote like that. You won't hold it against me. We're all human. We all emote. And one of the things I've been trying to do with this show from the get-go, and will continue to do into the future, is not cast a veil, too thick a veil of professionalism over what I'm doing here. I will always try to be honest. I will always try to keep my heart in it as much as possible. So if my heart gets riled up over a subject, thank you for bearing with me with whatever subject I'm talking about. Thank you for allowing me to be open and honest with all of you. I am not trying to be fake. From the very first show, for instance, I said I am not going to be the expert in any one area of geekdom that I cover. I am just a geek. I'm interested in those things, and I want to continue to learn with you about different subjects. So thank you for allowing me to do that. I know we're only a couple months in here, and I'm having it's not even a struggle. It's not even a hard time. I'm keeping the horse in front of the cart. where I had these grand visions of where I want the show to go and where I want it to be. I keep getting reminded. I keep reminding myself, or outside influences remind me, you're only a couple months in, dude. Just keep doing what you're doing. People will respond and it will grow from there. So I'm just trying to be honest with myself, honest with you. This is a very big part of the T in GTR, the therapy, the Geek Therapy Radio. And it's one of the reasons why at the end of every show, I try to impart some encouragement to you. Geeks especially. Geeks need encouragement. Geeks, we have a tendency to be scatterbrained. We have a tendency to think that what we're doing is not good enough. Even if it is good enough, we have this tendency to want to be 100 steps ahead of where we are on the path right now. And it's okay to be on this current step of the path we're on right now. Your vision of what's 100 steps ahead is blurry. What you can see clearly is the one step ahead of you. So I try to impart encouragement. Just put your foot on that next step, for instance. Don't try to get ahead of yourself. I know that we get scatterbrained and we try to jump to all these different steps. We want to be somewhere further than where we're at right now. So I got to remind myself, I'm 2 months into this. I'm just having a lot of fun with my show. I know that in the future, years in the future, I'm going to look back to these first couple months very fondly, where it's mostly been just me by myself, casting out my voice electromagnetically into the atmosphere and into space. I'm going to get real with you real quick here. And I promise this show, I'm going to touch on more geeky subjects. We're going to, like I said, get to the meat and potatoes. But I'm going to be real honest. Part of why this first initial part of the process is so meaningful to me, and why I'm so comfortable and so happy to even just have my own one voice go out into the atmosphere, into space, is because I feel like, it's going to get heavy here for a second, I feel like it's just me and my dad. I'm not going to, you can extrapolate who, if you've been in Houston for any length of time, you can probably extrapolate who my dad was. And, if you haven't figured it out, if you're new, he's passed away. I didn't initially set out to follow in any footsteps, and he actually often enough warned me, implored me to not get into this industry, because it is a tough industry to make a living in, or even have any reasonable amount of success in. So I feel so happy in these first couple months where it's just me broadcasting my voice. Sorry for bumping the microphone there. Me broadcasting my voice out into literally the universe, because I feel like it's me talking to my dad, and I feel like he would be proud. So that's that. Now, all right, okay. Put the tissues away. Let's settle an argument. Let's settle an argument right now that has been burning the internet for several years. 20 years maybe longer than that. And that is, how do you pronounce the file extension acronym GIF? We all know what a GIF is. It's just a silent video, basically. It's just a moving image that you see all over. It's in memes. It's all over the internet. And I'm going to settle the argument right now. How do you pronounce it? Some people swear it's pronounced GIF. And some of you might be thinking, well, yeah, that's the way the guy who invented the format pronounces it. He said it's pronounced GIF. Let me tell you something. He was trolling you. He was messing with you. He was messing with us when he said that. GIF, G-I-F, is pronounced GIF, and let me tell you why. It is not the G as in giraffe. If it was giraffe interchange format, it would be pronounced GIF. But no, GIF stands for graphics interchange format. Graphics, the G in graphics, the G in the G in GIF is G. So it's GIF. It's GIF, GIF, GIF. If someone pronounces it GIF, they're wrong. So next time you're at the bar with your buddies and you're having an argument, is it pronounced GIF or GIF? And they're like, well, the guy who invented it calls it GIF. You've been had. It's pronounced GIF. That's it. Period. End of sentence. I'm saying it. I've at least in my mind, been bestowed the authority, the authorita to pronounce it GIF, to say it's pronounced GIF. Graphical interchange format. It's called GIF. We got more meat and potatoes coming up on Geek Therapy Radio, GTR here. While we're going into the commercials, you have 3 or 4 minutes to get on your celery phone and look up Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook and give it a like, give it a follow, and interact with me on my Facebook page. Geek Therapy Radio is also on Instagram under Geek Therapy Radio. And you can email me, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com, and I'm going to toss the Twitter out there, even though I never use Twitter. But if I start getting 1 million followers for throwing out the Twitter, I will. That's fine. I just don't use Twitter. That's too much social media. But on Twitter, it's Geek Therapy KPRC. KPRC is the call sign of the station. So it's Geek Therapy KPRC on Twitter. So you can follow me there if you want, although I don't post there all the time. I've got my Twitter linked to the Instagram, so if I'm posting on Instagram, it's going to go to Twitter. But mainly, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook is where you can find me, interact with me, tell me your geek thing. We're going to get into it a little bit in these following segments. Let's talk about solar window blinds that harvest sunlight. I mean, their blinds are soaking up the sun anyways. You're using it to block the sun out of your room. Might as well have those blinds powering your house. We'll talk about the world's largest aircraft, a dirigible that's getting back into the air, the first all-electric container ship, why the new Surface laptop is stupid. Microsoft's Surface laptop is stupid. We're going to get into that. Did I just get more passionate about a laptop than I did about dogs in the back of bed of trucks? Well, I was joking about the Surface laptop. I'm being facetious in my emphasis of disdain for it. That's a lot of big words I just used. My head hurts. We might talk about Tesla's solar roof is up to pre-ordering. A brown dwarf star is now a planet. And the ethics that I'm reminded of in the story about drones that could self-analyze. If they're going to crash, they can see the landscape beneath them and choose the safest area to crash. And what kind of ethical dilemmas that reminds me of. But we'll get into that. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Go there right now. Like it. Like me. Please like me, everybody. Please. Actually, I don't care. You can like me or not. As long as you're listening, that's fine with me. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up.
Let's go!
You should be dancing to my bump music, y'all. Woo! Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hamburger. Go to the Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. I have to say that ad nauseum. It's part of the deal. So I said we're going to get into some nice geeky things to sink our teeth into. And the first one are these prototype solar window blinds that both block out the sun and harvest the energy from it. I think that's brilliant. I like solar panels. I have my own set of solar panels that they're not hooked up currently. Certain situations in my life have changed, and the panels are in storage. But I do have solar panels, and I can't wait to hook them back up. Here's what I used them for years. I used my solar panels. It's just a 45-watt set that I got from Harbor Freight, I think. And I had them hooked into the charge controller and hooked into a deep cycle 12-volt battery. And what I would use that for is I had used it to charge all my little devices, all my cell phones and stuff. I used it to charge my laptop. I used to have it running a little light in my room and all that stuff. So I love solar panels. I love the whole idea and the technology behind solar panels. I actually thought that maybe I might be interested in being a solar panel technician, going around and installing solar panels commercially and privately. I thought that would have been a fun gig. I'm not sure I wanted to make a career out of installing solar panels. If I was going to make a career in solar energy, it would be as an engineer, go get my degree in electrical engineering and whatnot and help develop solar panels, help develop more efficient solar panels. That was a geeky thing that I thought about I might like to do. But I'm having more fun on the radio, talking about them. Truth be told, not making as much money as I probably would, but more fun. And that's what matters, right? Fun is more important than food in your gut. So anyways, this idea of solar panels built into the blinds of your house really excites me. That's a really cool thing to geek out about. And further than that, if you're aware of Tesla and Elon Musk, his little outfit, he does Tesla and SpaceX. But anyways, Tesla, he is the one taking the orders. The company of Tesla is opening up pre-orders for their solar shingles. They are solar panels that just look like normal shingles, but you can power your entire house off of it. That's brilliant. That is the direction we should be moving towards. We have this, and it's not even a greeny weeny thing to say. There's this big giant sun in our sky. Why not use the energy of it to cook our burritos in our microwaves? Why not use the power of the sun to dry our clothes? Why not use the power of the sun to play our video games and power our TVs and our lights and whatnot? It's just, it's a no-brainer, To me personally, here's my ideal house, to give you a reference, to give you one geek's personal dream home idea. I would like my house to be 100% powered by renewables, by wind and by solar, in the combination of such, and have my battery bank and be get to power my house completely renewable. You might think, wow, are you some sort of hippie? No, I'm just a geek. I love that technology. So while I have my house being powered by the sun and by wind and by whatever else renewable, in my driveway, yes, I would like a electric car. I would like a Tesla Model S or Tesla X or Tesla Model 3 that's coming out. That'd be great. But guess what? I want my fire-breathing Audi R8 right next to it. I'll be specific. Anyone wants to give me an Audi R8, I'll take it. 10-cylinder or 8-cylinder, whatever. I want all my renewable stuff. I want to do my part for the world. It's mostly selfish because it's just really geeky and neat, but our geekisms can help future generations. It's just a win-win. But I also want my 200 mile per hour fossil burning supercar. You're saying, oh, well, the Model S would be faster than the R8 anyways, and that's pure electric. No, that's true. But there is something to be said for the visceral engagement of a petroleum burning motor, fire breathing dragon chugging down the road. And I'll just say, the modern combustion engine is so efficient in modern times that it's just my hypothesis that if we had engines as efficient as they are now, back when we first started developing the motor car, we would be way better off now. And I know that's impossible. Things get better with time. Engines get more efficient with time. I don't feel too bad about driving a gasoline-powered car. Just keep your car maintained. That's the biggest thing. Keep your car maintained. Do as little damage as possible as you're driving down the road. You know, I'm not advocating driving around a big gas-guzzling, inefficient, smoke-bellowing. Rolling coal is the stupidest thing. The person who keeps a dog in the bed of their pickup truck rolls coal. And if you don't know what rolling coal is, that means basically putting your foot so hard into your diesel vehicle that it just blows out all that black soot behind it, just creates a cloud of black smoke. You usually have to do engine modifications to make it burn so efficiently when you put your foot into it that you create this big black cloud behind you. That's so stupid. That's dumb. That's unnecessary. It just makes you look dumb. If you like doing it, that's fine. Actually, it's not fine. You look dumb. You look the same doing that as you do not using a turn signal. Both things make you look stupid. That's the end of that segment. We'll get more into it in the third segment. I am Johnny Hemberger, your mental curator for this evening. I'm saying some testy stuff tonight. So go on the Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio Facebook. Let me know what you think about what I'm saying here this evening, this morning, this afternoon, depending on when you're listening to the podcast or the actual over-the-air broadcast. Podcast and broadcast. That's what we're about here on Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hemberger. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
I got you stuck off the realness.
Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Go to Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Go to Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. Email me, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. That's geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. I do have a Twitter I use infrequently. That's Geek Therapy KPRC on Twitter. But mainly, hit up that FB. Let's get Facebook official. As all the kids say, let's get Facebook official and like Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. I really want to know what you guys are geeking out about. Trains, planes, automobiles, animals, computers, video games, music, instruments, vintage radios, electronics. If you love the smell of melting solder, if you love the smell of soldering things, first of all, that gives you cancer. Second of all, I understand liking the smell of it. Gasoline gives you cancer too. Some people like the smell of gasoline. But anyways, you know when you enter a room and you smell some flux, that some real nerdage is going on. So, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Let's hook up. Let's become Facebook offish. That's enough. That's enough lingo for now. Here's something very interesting that I have stumbled upon. We're getting into astronomy. If you haven't been able to tell over the past few months, I love the stars. So, as if I looked up through my little telescope and made the discovery myself or with somebody. Anyways, scientists they found a brown dwarf star that is now a planet. And have you ever wondered, has your geek mind ever wondered, why does a planet like Jupiter exist, a gas giant? What's the difference between a gas giant like Jupiter and a gas giant like our sun? Well, for instance, Jupiter has not amassed enough gravity to compress material together hot enough to kick off hydrogen fusion. That's the difference between a star, like our sun, and a gas giant like Jupiter or Saturn or Uranus or whatever else is out there floating around in the universe. So it's a fine line between gas giant and star. So scientists have discovered, is it even worth me mentioning the name of it? I will do it in case you want to look it up. The new planet that used to be a brown dwarf star is called SIMP 0136. SIMP 0136. It's 200 million. Wait a second. No. It's far away. It's far away. So what happened with this is it never quite got to the point where it kicked off the hydrogen fusion reaction necessary to create a star. It got really close, and things on this planet were so hot, this gas giant, that it still emits light. There's still enough energy happening. There's still enough compression of matter happening that it's basically like a red hot piece of steel. You heat up a piece of steel and it glows red hot. It's not actually doing anything nuclear. It's not engaging in any fusion, but it's so red hot that it glows. That's the case of a brown dwarf star. It's not really a star. So that's been reclassified as a planet, this particular one, because it's cooled off enough that it's basically just a gas giant now. It's never, well, I hesitate to say never, it's likely never going to amount enough mass to kick off the hydrogen fusion reaction necessary to jumpstart a star. But that's interesting. We found a red dwarf that's cooled off enough that it's now just a planet. That's fascinating to me. Isn't it fascinating to you? Even if you don't care about astronomy or stars, wasn't that a fascinating thing to hear in your earballs? It was to me. All right, so here's a story I touched on earlier that I said I would get to. Those of us who have more intricate drones like DJI Phantoms and whatnot, smarter drones, and I hate calling them drones, they're quadcopters. Anyways, those of us who have these, I'll just say more expensive drones, even though the one on mine, the camera doesn't work anymore. I can still fly the drone around. But anyways, regardless, they're working on new programming to help drones that are crashing or about to crash or have really low battery levels, whatever, they need to go down, read the terrain and read where the safest place to crash land would be. For instance, if it's looking down over a road, it says that's a road, I'm not going to go down there and create a traffic hazard. Looking down and it sees the roof of a house, I'm not going to crash on someone's private property. But it sees a nice thicket of green trees that's not going to damage any property or hurt anybody. Of those three options of landing in a busy street, landing on someone's private property, a house, or landing in a tree far away from endangering anybody, it's going to choose the tree. That brings up a very interesting ethical dilemma when it comes to artificial intelligence, let's say in autonomous cars or autonomous vehicles. I'll use autonomous cars for this example. The car is about to get into a crash. You're sitting inside this car. Now here's what the crash involves. A group of nuns or old ladies, a group of children, or one person, like in the middle. So this car is crashing and it has a choice. It's either going to kill a group of old ladies or nuns, it's going to kill a group of children, or it's going to kill one person. At some point, the artificial intelligence has to decide that one human life is the best outcome. The best possible outcome is to kill one person as opposed to killing the driver, the group of old ladies, or the group of children. The car is going to protect the driver, or will it? Will it see a fourth option? I'm going to pile drive right into this bridge embankment and kill the driver as opposed to killing anybody else outside the car. Isn't that interesting to think about? At some point, autonomous vehicles, the artificial intelligence, is going to have to decide which life is it worth to take in the grand scheme of things. Kill a group of children, kill a group of old ladies, kill one person in front of you, or kill the driver exclusively. It's gonna have to choose. It's gonna have to choose. And you know it will. There's no other possible outcome. Somebody has to die, and your car, your autonomous vehicle, your artificially intelligence-driven vehicle is going to decide who dies. That's very interesting to think about. And that's probably what you're going to take away from the show tonight, is that ethical dilemma. That's really geeky. That's really what keeps you up at night, is thinking about stuff like that. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Thank you for listening to this week's, what's the name of my show? Geek Therapy Radio, GTR as it's called. Go on Facebook. Let's become Facebook official. Let's become Facebook official. Go on to Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook and like me. Oh, you really like me. Whether you like me or not, maybe you like the show. So go on Facebook and Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Let's become Facebook official. I love all of you. Y'all are capable of great things. I say y'all, yes, I'm from Texas. Y'all are capable of great things. Don't get too down on yourself. Don't think that you're not, in the right part of the path that you think you should be. You're where you're supposed to be. Just keep looking one step ahead of you, one at a time. You'll get there. You'll get down the path. And I need to remind myself of that too. I love all of you. Have a great week. I'll talk to you guys soon. Go on that Facebook. Like me, Facebook official. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Peace. I'm out of here. Gonna go ahead and let this one play out here, because y'all should really be going and looking up my boy DJ Bird Peterson on that there Google. He makes all the music for my show. DJ Bird Peterson. Look him up.